Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. First, thanks for coming to my channel. I appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, take a minute and hit the like button before you leave. I'd love to have you check out a few other videos too, and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. I have over 140 videos, and it's growing each week. I put out 3 videos, so there's quite a bit of good content here, and especially if you're a beginning metalsmith, or if you are just looking for ideas and you've already got some experience. So maybe check it out. I wanted to give a special shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. We have a nice community over there sharing ideas and things like that. I provide exclusive content to them, and there's different tiers of membership. You can check that out in the video description if you'd like. But thank you to my patrons for your support. I really appreciate it. Today I'm going to do a ring that has 2 different layers to it, one over the top with a space between it. I haven't decided on a name for it yet, but I've seen similar ones before and I thought I'd give it a try. I liked the way my prototype came out. I'll show you that in a minute. But we're going to do one with a little bit wider profile to it today. It's not a super hard project, so it's a good one for beginners maybe. But yeah, let's get started on this. Okay, let's get this show on the road. So the materials we'll need for this one, here's the prototype I was talking about. See how it's got a layer of half round over the top and then just some silver sheet on the middle here with a gap between it. And then I've oxidized the gap a little bit so it's darker in there. Kind of stands out. So it's kind of an interesting, fun ring. I was pleased with how it came out. I want to make one that has a little bit wider stock, so I'm going to use this this low dome half round wire. I think it's the second largest that Rio carries, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the video description. So we're going to use that for the outer band, and then we'll use some 18 gauge sheet for the inside. So that's really all the materials you need, other than some solder and some flux. I use hard sheet solder for most of my stuff, and that's what we'll be using today. And the flux that I use is a spray-on flux called My-T-Flux. Get it from Rio Grande as well. So let's get started on this. I already measured around the ring mandrel for, decided to make a size 8 of this. We'll see how that turns out. And for the inside band, this is from here to about here is an 8 when you wrap it around the mandrel. And I'm going to add about an extra, I'm guessing it's a ½ inch or 12 to 14 millimeters here. So I have some room to work with when I cut the second piece. So the first piece on the inside is going to be some 18 gauge sterling silver sheet, so which is relatively thick silver sheet. And then, like I said, we'll use this low dome half round for the outside one. But the first thing we need to do is measure out how long a piece we need for this. So I'm going to grab this edge up here. This brings us to where I'll get a size 8 if I mark it like that. And then as far as the width goes, I'm going to use this as a guide for the width. I'm actually going to cut it just a slight bit wider than this so I have some room to neaten it up and file it down nice. Do it about like that. That looks about right. And we'll just cut this piece off to start with. Get this guy flat again. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of neaten up the edges here. Okay, I'm going to curve it just a little bit on the ends to start with, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to file. So I want to taper this thing a little bit. I'm not sure why, but I find it easier to file a taper when it's curved like this. It's just easier to hold maybe. I don't need to do it too much here. I just want to make it so it gradually sort of tapers down narrower a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and bend this around the mandrel now. I'm going to do it up here at the top, kind of where it's smaller. We're going to try and get it to where it's... I'm going to spend quite a bit of time getting this really round. Okay, so that's pretty close. We may need to do some fine tuning on that a little bit later, but like I said, I'm going to cut this one significantly longer. I chose about 12 millimeters for this gauge. We'll see how that comes out. I hope that's about right. So on this one, I don't want to mess with the curve on the outside, but I do want it to taper a little bit. So I'm going to try and file it a little thinner on the inside here. Okay, so since I'm going to solder these one above the other one, so they create that kind of a space in between them, it's going to be impossible to polish in there really once it's soldered together. And so all of these filing scratches that I've done here and on the outside of this here, I'm going to go take those off with the regular polishing wheel, and then I'll bring it back, and then we'll shape this one and we'll solder them together. And then we can pickle it for a while, and then we can oxidize the inside. So we got a few steps to go, but I'll be right back after I polish these up a little bit. Mostly polish the inside to get rid of the major scratches and everything, and the outside of this one. So now I think let's start shaping this one around a ring mandrel. Push it up a little bit bigger here. Just like on the other one, we want to get this one nice and round. Just trying to get everything as symmetrical as possible. Let's see, what we're going to do here is solder these two together like that. Hopefully you're in frame. Make sure you can see that. If you look at it from the end, this is going to be soldered in like that. So we just have to make sure it's symmetrical and centered, and then we can solder it together. It may take a little bit more shaping than that. I just think I got lucky on this one. The last one, it took me a little while more to shape it. The reason you want the shape so good at this point is because once they're together, you won't be able to very easily re-round, you know, without marring up the outer part. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and cut some solder. So honestly, the steps are pretty simple on this one. The more time you take getting it symmetrical and round and everything, the nicer I think your final piece will look. I'm going to try and do a little better job of oxidizing the inside of this one than I did on the first one. You notice I'm using quite a bit of solder because I want this to have a nice seam down here. The flux moves things just slightly. Try and reposition them a little bit. There we go. Before I start pickling this, I'm going to turn it over and take a look at it too. So I'm going to add a little bit of solder on this side as well, just to be safe. I think it's time to pickle this, so I'm going to let that pickle for a while. And I'll polish it and I'll finalize it and show you what a final product looks like. Okay, it's pickled up a bit. We'll file the edge so that it's all nice and neatened up. And then I'm going to take I'm going to do some filing, and you probably use the Dremel to kind of neaten up the ends here so they're smoothed down and not quite so angular. So first I got to get the sides all flush and symmetrical with each other. Just kind of rounding out the end down here. Do a little cleaning up on the Dremel to make this all nice and symmetrical, and then I'll polish it, and then I'll show you the final result. So that's basically what it's going to look like. I'm also going to oxidize it too. I guess I'll show you that as well. So I thought I would, before I did the final polish, I would oxidize the inside here. I did some initial polishing, washed it off a little bit. I think when I did this one, I just kind of took a toothpick and shoved it in there with some of the black Max to do it, and I got kind of splotchy results. So I'm going to dump a little bit in here, and we're just going to kind of roll it around in the stuff so that it gets everywhere. So the stuff smells pretty strong, so you want to be a little careful using it. It's pretty raunchy. Turns it totally black. So let's go ahead and do this other one so I have a more consistent oxidation on the inside. Throw that in there. See if I can dump this back in here without getting it everywhere. I'm just actually going to throw all this stuff away. Okay, and I'll go wash those off, and then I'll polish it, and I'll be back. Here's the final piece. Make sure you can see that okay. I think it came out pretty cool. I think I might, because of the way it looks, I might call it a crescent moon ring, because it looks like a crescent moon from the side. So repolish that smaller one, re-oxidize the inside. I think it looks better. So yeah, pretty easy project. I like the results. Maybe you should give it a try. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you take off. Make sure to also visit the video description down below for some various links that are ways to either become a patron or support the channel by buying me a coffee or visiting my website and purchasing some of my jewelry. There's some pretty stuff over there that's available for sale. Either way, leave some comments in the comment section. I love hearing some discussion of what's going on here. I'd love it if you'd challenge me to try something. I've been having fun pushing my limits a little bit and learning some new things, so I'm always willing to give it a try. So if you got something you'd like me to try, within the range of fabricating silver anyway, I'm open to suggestions, so leave me some ideas. All right, thanks for watching. Happy silversmithing. Take care.